Hey guys, I'm just going to get this started. Looks like most people are here. Again, thanks so much for, good catch, huh? Thanks so much for attending the event, and I appreciate you guys jumping on board and being willing to kind of go through this subject, and I hope you get as much out of it. I've watched several videos, pretty impactful stuff. But again, I appreciate the time. And I'm going to introduce Mr. Hilinski, Mark Hilinski, and he's going to talk to you for a bit. All right. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Darren. Good to see everybody. This is going to be a tough one. I know you're just having a blast out there, and I can't wait to let you back to do that. But I wanted to thank Darren and Brian and Kevin and Dave Nichols, who's here, and all the volunteers that put this event together for these kids. You know, I wish Kym were here with me. We usually do these talks together. So we're going to do a little modified version of what we call a Tyler Talk. We've done about 300 of these across the country. Probably 80% of those universities and the balance high schools and a couple middle schools. So I want to get into that, and we'll play a little video here. If you don't know anything about Tyler's story or Hilinski's Hope, that'll kind of catch you up, and we'll get right into the program. Couple housekeeping things. This is tough. It's tough for me to give 300. Doesn't matter. I could do 3,000. They're still kind of tough. Laugh or cry with me if that happens. Just appreciate your patience and grace on that. I'm also not a mental health counselor, nor is Kym. We work with them every day. There's resources here. Darren wanted me to make sure I pointed that out, and we'll say that again at the end. There's mental health resources here in your community, and encourage you to look those up as well. The whole point of this is a sad story, if you know, but the point isn't to tell it to make you sad, right? This is so we can have a conversation. The result is the same. We miss Tyler tremendously, but there's some breadcrumbs, you know, that we found along the way, and we want to share those with you. To make of them what you wish. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to train you on anything, just kind of share the same story we've been sharing. In the hope that it brings hope, because Tyler should still be here. He never asked for help. You know, if you think of the pie chart for mental health or death by suicide, there's a relatively smaller portion where they don't seek help. They don't tell anybody they're struggling. They've never been diagnosed. And we lose them without even a chance to help them, right? And so we want to make sure that we're addressing that group. And any Tylers that are here today, or friends of yours, family members of yours, know that it's okay to talk about this stuff. We need them to stay. Tomorrow needs you. That would be Kym's message. So if you get nothing else out of this, I hope you get one thing, and that is you don't need a tragedy and you don't need a dramatic diagnosis to ask for help. We've talked to too many of you and too many counselors. There's not one of them that would say, I'm sorry, you're not sick enough to come and talk to me, right? This is an illness. This is, we stopped saying committed suicide for your age group. You don't commit cancer, you don't commit ALS, you die from a disease process if you can't get the help you need, right? And I imagine for a community like this that's putting something together for mental health, we're just excited for you that we treat those with mental health illnesses or conditions the same as we would a physical injury or physical issue. So we'll get that started, we'll do the video, and we'll get on with the program. Deal? All right.
His was a light that burned from within and shone out into the world in beams of joy that lit up everything around him.
No, not one time. have I ever seen him down, ever.
He really was this bright light in a room, and it almost as if the weight of the world was never on his shoulders. He always stood tall. He always had a smile on his face.
Breezy, bright smiles.
His smile is beautiful. And when he smiles, his eyes get these little like lines.
Laser beam throws.
And I know that I'm going to be going to a great program in Wazoo and playing for head coach Mike Leach. I can't wait. I'm excited.
He is a real easygoing guy. He's everybody's type.
And moments of sheer electricity that ignited a legend.
And he left and he went to Pullman because he loved the people.
What he did on a Saturday night on the Palouse. Against Boise State, against all odds.
Touchdown, Washington State.
I mean, he played like Superman, almost.
Will be talked about forever.
A rush of 4. Hilinski has
his left. Caught, made it, the catch to the 20-yard line. More to the 10. Runs for the win. Dives for the pylon. Touchdown, Washington State.
Touchdown, Washington State if it stands.
The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown, Washington.
It's a comeback for the ages. An all-time Cougar win.
They carried him off the field that night under the lights. There were a lot of things right with Tyler Hilinski, but there was something wrong too. Something dark and ominous that took hold of his soul and wouldn't let go.
Finally just kind of opened up and said, I'm sad, but I can't base the sadness off anything. I can't pick one thing that I'm sad about. It's just an overwhelming sadness.
That overwhelming sadness was depression, mental illness. A week after Tyler took his own life, hundreds and hundreds of people gathered at the Cougar statue in front of Martin Stadium. Not a word was spoken, but 1,000 questions were asked, and they are still being asked. If even the brightest and the strongest are no match for the disease, what chance do the rest of us have?
You know, if you have a sprained ankle, you go see the trainer. If you get hit in the head, you got to go through a concussion protocol. And we have to start to treat, some of this mental illness stuff the same way.
But Tyler's light still shines. It shines on research and science. It shines on shattering stigmas, and it illuminates the mystifying darkness that surrounds mental illness. It's a path, a beacon. It's a hope. We call it Hilinski's hope.
Okay, a couple things. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. I'm happy to have him. When Tyler passed away, you might recognize that voiceover from a guy out in Seattle, a news anchor that wrote a story the next day called Unbridled, which still gets us choked up today about. But I wanted you to hear that because you probably noticed he said mental illness, depression, mental illness. We don't know. And that's sometimes, I'm not picking on him. We leave that in for a reason. Words are important, and we don't know that Tyler was struggling with depression. We suspect that he was struggling with a mental illness. Could have been depression. Could have been bipolar. Could have had a number of diagnoses, but he never saw anybody to do that. So for some of these stories to make sense, I got to tell you a little bit about at least two things about Tyler I want you to know for this talk. One is he was the most competitive kid between two lines or the field or the court that I'd ever met, just hyper competitive. But outside of that, he was a mama's boy, right? He was pizza and movies, in by 10:30, asleep and up for the next day. He was, in our family, he was our B-type personality. The other two were A's, and the A's, they strike out and they're upset, and they show that in a variety of ways, I know, or locker room or classroom or whatever. You know that type, and my oldest and my youngest are like that. Tyler wasn't, and so talking to Tyler about things that were important, you sort of had to do that on purpose, right? He didn't share a whole extra how he was feeling. And so Tyler was our our sweet but quiet boy. For parents, you can appreciate, we love all 3 of our kids, but we really like Tyler. The other thing is, after he passed, we came up to school and, had to take care of a bunch of stuff, and we'll tell you about that here in a minute. But when we were up, I had a chance to talk with the team, and I don't know why. It was so important for me to share anything with them. I was struggling, they were struggling. He didn't know, none of them knew why Tyler passed. They all thought of him as the happy, goofy, funny kid. Always looking out for them, it seemed. And so when we talked to them, we said, tell us about Tyler. How was he? What was he like? And we heard the same story over and over, and it started like this. Oh, Tyler, he was this bright light in the room, and he'd come into a picket, a locker room, a party, whatever, and like, that doesn't sound like Tyler, though. And we kept pushing him, like, well, give us examples. What do you mean? And the examples started to show us a lot more. It was Tyler asking them how they were doing. Hey, your mom had surgery 2 weeks ago. How's she feeling? She doing all right? That kind of stuff. That's what they remembered about him. He's not some rock star walking around like he's somebody. He was always asking them. And as we heard it over and over from so many different people on the team, the staff, the coaching staff, that it started to get a lot more obvious to us that when he's asking you guys how you're doing, he's not talking about himself, right? That never comes back to, oh yeah, how's your mom doing from her surgery? It doesn't flow sort of as much. And so not that we were trying to pick at any of the kids or their relationships with Tyler, we just wanted to understand it better so we could share it with you. And Tyler was less the rock star and much more the kid that seemingly was comfortable talking to you about how you guys were doing, and not sharing so much about himself. I missed something at the beginning. I should have told you. There's a lot of football in this. It's all football, in fact. But that's not because football matters more, needs it more even. It's just Tyler was playing, and it's part of his story. So don't get lost on the fact that people were wearing helmets. And I know baseball is a contact sport. I watch it. So this story, very quickly, is about the guy in the number 88 jersey, C.J. Dimry. C.J., that's Kirk. That's Tyler in the middle. Those are his 2 roommates, players on the team. If you remember back then, C.J. was a receiver. His dad had played in the league about 10 years, and he was Tyler's favorite guy, right? Those thick as thieves, those 2. And C.J. was a lot like Tyler. I knew his family and knew him for 3.5 years. Still talk to him, but I get maybe 50 words out of that kid, in 3 years. But they were important ones, I remember. No cheese on the burger, that kind of stuff. But he's a sweet kid. And CJ, what did we do after Tyler passed? We lived in Southern California, so we had his memorial service down there. And what do? You get up and talk about your kid, show pictures and play videos and songs that he liked, and just cry your eyes out about why is he gone? Apologize to people. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry he's not here. That kind of stuff. You've been to them. You know what they're like. And I was the last one to talk and thanking people for coming and wishing them the best and get home safe and all that kind of stuff. And I see CJ sort of creeping up the side. It was like, it was in a big auditorium, and so I see him kind of coming up the side, which was unusual by itself. Like he's a big kid. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. WSU had sent the team down for the service as well. And so he's kind of creeping up the side, and he pulls me down, and he says, "Hey, Mr. Hilinski, can I talk to you for a second? I got a question." I said, "Of course, yeah." And then he said, and you just have to trust me on this, CJ then said, "You know how I don't have a car, right?" I do know that, actually. And there's no way he's asking me for Tyler's car, right? I knew that wasn't possible. I knew the kid. And he was just nervous, right? You could just see it in his eyes. Sad, upset, confused. And he said, "Well, before I ask my question, I don't know if you know this, but my mom died when I was 5. She died from cancer. Like, oh my God, I did know that. I'm sure there's a couple here. We're known as helicopter parents. We go to everything. We try to go to everything, fly to everything. We're down there signing diapers at a hospital one time to whatever else they're doing. So we're there a lot. We knew the families, hang out with them, tailgate with them and all. And we knew that CJ's mom had died, but his dad had remarried and he has a beautiful family and we knew them really well. And I said, oh man, CJ, I'm sorry if something that we said that upset you. And no, he's waving me off. He's just trying to get around to his question. And then he said, I've been seeing a counselor too for like the last 2 years up here. We were in Southern California, so he was talking about Pullman. And then he starts to describe where this counseling took place, right? And I know, you know the area of Pullman, small town. And again, I said, I'm sorry, I'm glad you're going. Is that working for, how's that working? Yeah, it's still, again, he's just kind of waving me off, but yeah, no, I'm glad I'm going, it's working. Great. I'm trying to think, what kind of question does he have for me? I think I kind of know. And then he said it. He's like, Mr. Hilinski, he used to drive me to every appointment. I don't know why this one's tough, but he describes where Tyler would drop him off, and he's like, Mr. Hilinski, he's 20 feet from help. Then he went on, Tyler apparently would go get tacos or pizza or something, food of some kind, haul back up, sit and wait for him in the parking lot. And when he'd get out of these appointments, he'd come and they'd sit for an hour sometimes, he'd say. We talk about everything. We talk about my appointment. It wasn't always about my mom. Football and Coach Leach and his own session on that, I'm sure. His family but they talked, they talked, and sometimes for an hour, sometimes 10 minutes. But he said he knew I was getting help. He knew. He would ask me. He was interested. He was curious. What do they say? What do you have to do to get better? How does that help? That kind of stuff. And CJ had a great question. All he had to do was say, I think I might be struggling myself. I'm thinking of hurting myself or having terrible thoughts. Maybe I should go. And that's what it was crushing him. I got a lot of questions for Tyler. That's one of the biggest ones. Why didn't you ask for help? And so, like I said, we've done 300 of these. We were in some small hotel somewhere a couple years ago, and I was doing notes like I do for you guys and think about what I want to say and the messages and all that. And I'm asking Tyler in my head, like, what? Seriously, why? All he had to do is ask. And I don't mean that had he asked for help, 2 weeks later, he's back on the field, everything's great. I get that. But he's not here, so everything short of that is a better option, right? And so I shared this with Kim. I pulled her over and I said, it's not like he talked to me. I don't mean voices and that. But it was very clear that day in everyday sense. I think I know what Tyler would have said. And I get it. I'm the dad who lost his son to suicide. Didn't know he was struggling on his watch, so you can believe what you want. But I'm certain Tyler would have simply said this, Dad, his mom died. Of course he needs help. I'm glad he's getting it. But what's wrong with me? Got a car. Little gas money. Get to throw it 90 times a game the next couple of years. Had everything we thought he was needing and wanting. And I'm certain that Tyler didn't want to disrupt anybody else's life with his problems. And I'm just simply here to tell you, I wish he would. And you don't need to wait. You don't need to wait until you're suicidal to ask for help. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. And I know that's changing, and I feel that that's changing for you guys. But you're really the ones that are going to make that change stick. And you can do that simply by listening, by sharing your feelings with each other. And I'm not talking about privacy. That's not it. If you're not getting help for something you need because you're worried about playing time, are you worried about your sport? Are you worried about what people say about you? That's the people I'm talking to. You don't have to tell us every detail. That's not the point. The point is to get help when you need it. Simple as that. I debated whether I was going to do this today or not, but I think I can do it quickly. There's 3 videos that I found. These are all things I found after Tyler passed. And there's 2 important points I want to share with you, but I'm going to go through them very quickly. They go on and on, don't worry. We won't make you listen to all of it, but I'll explain them as we go. The first one is after that Boise State game. Big win, fun times, should be a good interview. Listen to this.
Big time situations. What was the feeling like as you guys were getting closer and closer to going out the field and getting more intense?
I mean, shoot, I was just playing football out there, surrounded by a great group of guys. Just told me they had faith in me. I was just ready to do my job.
Tyler, this entire fall camp, you've been a guy that's rounding up other players, high-fiving guys. Guys seem to really like you and want to be around you. How is that getting into the game and knowing that you were just hugging it up with Jamal right before you guys got here, knowing that these guys are going to come to battle for you and that they believe in you 110%?
Shoot, I mean, it goes both ways, you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, he was hugging me. I was hugging him too, you know what I mean? Like, shoot, Jamal's probably even more so, like, probably, I don't know, Jamal's probably the favorite guy on the team, so.
I love my son, and I love hearing his voice, but he's not a public speaker either. I play that one because of you guys. We love when if you didn't hear about the game, a bunch of people scored, a bunch of people made mistakes. It was just fun. It's one of those fun football games, went on and on. But he didn't want the credit, right? He's carried off on shoulders. If you see that video, I have it, the little cell phone video of riding on shoulders. It lasted 8 seconds. He was uncomfortable. Did a couple of those, whatever, down. We don't want to do that. But we love that about you guys. You share the success, right? Whether you pitched or hit or play a different sport, we love that about you guys. The next one, 6 games later, we go down to Arizona, kind of the same thing, right? We get behind by a lot before halftime, and what Coach loved to do was grab another quarterback and say, don't throw it to the other team. And that was like run ace 95 till you fall apart. But he got thrown in, same kind of thing happened. Back and forth, a lot of scoring, a lot of fun, but we didn't win. So let's listen to that one.
Yeah, I felt like we were executing on offense. I felt everybody was doing their jobs, besides the turnovers for sure. The offensive line played their butts off tonight. I mean, besides that one play where I held on to the ball too long, I mean, I had tons of time back there. Wide receivers were getting open. Just some critical plays where I made mistakes is really what it came down to.
We love that about you too. Take responsibility for your stuff. Hey, if I just had taken what the defense gave me, the kid threw for 504 yards and 4 touchdowns in the second half. He doesn't bring that up. I thought he played pretty well. But that's not what we heard. We love that about you guys. Last one, 2 weeks before he dies, we go down the San Diego bowl game. Short one after that.
A lot of that was me missing reads and stuff, and just we weren't able to push it downfield.
And I just wonder if you could just evaluate your own play, how you felt like it went for you tonight.
We didn't win, so not good.
So if you can imagine, I'm up at night, South Carolina, going through things, looking for these kind of things, searching for Tyler. Let me hear him again. Let me hear something I haven't heard. These are all ones that I found, and there's more of them, and they go on and on, right? But you know how YouTube, you can sort of stack them on top of each other? play them, one at a time. And I started getting into that. Like, what am I seeing? I didn't really know. And I called Kym over. And Tyler has these cheekbones that as he loses weight, they look different. He was sort of embarrassed by it, but he has a interesting face structure. But we know, sadly, from the weigh-ins and from the autopsy report, he lost 15 pounds. At 225, football, we stop lifting halfway through and lose a little bit of weight, but 15 pounds was an awful lot for a quarterback that didn't play a lot. So we saw that, and we saw his eyes, his eyes would get dark. And there's more to this. I'm just showing you the bare minimum. But we saw physically transformation, right? The last thing is what he says. And I know you don't know him, but I promise you, if you'd asked him about any of those games, or a high school game, or his brother's game, he'd still be answering the question. Oh yeah, we ran this, and we should have run that, or, a critique. Oh, so-and-so got open all the time. Puller crushed everybody he hit. That he would just keep, like I am, go on and on talking about it. So when I heard this last one, and the guy, if you didn't hear the question, hey, evaluate your own play. It's his first start, right? Luke was hurt. They put him in, played Michigan State, who was better. But we played a good game. It was relatively competitive. And he was so embarrassed. And what he answered, we lost. Not good. Like, that's just not him. And I know, guys, I promise you, I know that sounds stupid. I know these are tiny little things. Not one of which, if I had seen him before he died, I wouldn't have grabbed him and said, oh, we got to go take him to the hospital. He needs a mental health counselor immediately. But after, and you see physically he's changed, and I could pepper in some other things. My texts with him changed too. They were shorter. They were not as detailed, didn't have as much information. Not bad, but just different. And I remember talking to Kym right before the bowl game. Hey, Tyler's is he doing that to you? He's sort of quieter. What? Oh, Mark, don't worry about it. He's got a lot on, it was his first start. He's got a lot to do. Busy, busy, busy. Yeah, okay. I get it. They're tiny things. And I'm not asking you to become therapists and figure out your kids or your teammates. But be there for them. Make it easy to answer a question, how you doing, with a real answer, right? Quickly, raise your hand if you've heard this, a version of this. Your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody that helped raise you said, you ever get in trouble? You ever get arrested? You ever scared? Place you don't belong or you shouldn't be in or you're worried about? I want you to call me. I'll come and get you. I'll take care of you. I'm not going to yell and scream. We'll deal with that tomorrow. I'm just going to get you out of that trouble. Anybody get a version of that? Some of you are young, a lot of you, okay? Same around the country. So we did the same thing, helicopter parents that we were, told our kids, you ever need anything, we're Supermen, we'll come and get you. And so when Tyler was your age, 17, junior in high school, he was at a party on a Thursday night at 9:30. This is the suburbs of LA County. Not downtown, not the clubs, not 4 in the morning, 9:30. Kym and I are at the table, or at the kitchen table. Phone rings. Old people answer it on speakerphone, so I hear it. And Tyler says, hey, remember that time you said anything I did wrong, it was okay, and I'd be fine, you would never be mad? He started trying to be funny about it a little bit. Yeah, we know, we remember that. He goes, okay, I need you to come and get me. We're on our way. Click. Kym and I, like the FBI, race out of the house, forget the keys, get the keys, start it up, fly out there. Meanwhile saying, remember what we said. Don't, smells like weed or alcohol, don't say anything. Let's just make sure he's okay. We pull up, get the text. He's texting me, hey, I'm at so-and-so's house. I see him come down, hat on backwards, his hoodie on, and his little backpack over his shoulder. And I'm watching him. He's athletic. He's a football player. He's not super athletic. So I'm watching him come down the stairs. Looks fine. Hops down, gets in the car, shuts the door. We take off. 20 minutes to home, right? So we take off and we're almost home before we start. And about halfway home, he says, like mid-sentence, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you guys." And then he starts to tell us what happened. And what it, you just say all it was, but what it was is he went to a big party. His school had 3,300 kids in it. So he knew a lot of them, didn't know all of them. Get to a party, and you run into groups of folks. One of them, "Hey, quarterback, party with us. Snort these, take those, drink this." "No, I'm good, man. I'm game tomorrow. I'm good." "Oh, too cool for," that kind of thing. And so they just followed him around the house. He didn't like that. And he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't so they kind of pushed him around a little bit. He told us, "I remember what you said. Wasn't sure how I was going to get out of that. So I called you. Thank you for coming to get me." We pull up. We do this to him, right? Anybody get one of these? I don't know what that is. Still, we did it, He didn't fall over or whatever. Made him a pizza, he went to bed. And Kym and I are high-five, like virtually over you listen to us. One of our kids listened to us. Of course it was Tyler. And we thought, how great is that? Even as one little thing, but it meant so much to us. We thought, of course, it'd be Tyler. This is where I got to speed up a little bit. I want to tell you just a couple things that happened that last day. None of this is graphic. It's for all of y'all. But like so many things, right, bad news starts with a phone call, or it did for us. And you know how your phone, if you don't have somebody I just added Darren, and I don't have his name first, so it just shows up Deer Park in a phone number, not his name. And so my phone rings at January 16th, around noon, and it said Pullman, Washington. Number I didn't recognize. I knew every coach. I knew I knew a bunch of the folks there. So immediately I looked at that, and Kym was there, and I said, uh-oh. I know they're doing OTAs or workouts without coaches, whatever it's called in college, and I thought, ACL, you're right. Something happened, he's hurt, and he's not calling me, so he's either in trouble or he's hurt, or both. And I very quickly got worried, and a guy that I've never met before is calling me. The poor guy, Coach Huff, had just gotten there. Silly season for coaches, right? Hiring and firing and moving stuff. He got the short straw, had to call. He said, "Hey, Mr. Hilinski, it's Coach Huff. I'm calling because Tyler missed practice." First, I thought, he's 21. You're calling his dad because he missed practice, But there was something in his voice that told me that wasn't it, or there was more to it. And before I could my knees buckle, he said, "And we filed a missing persons report." Wait a minute. And what did I'll tell you, I thought about, he lost his scholarship. Something happened to create a huge problem. I didn't worry about his safety, worried about his health. As I'm doing this, Kym's listening. She's calling all the parents. "Where's my son? Call your boy. Where is he? Where's his car?" She called Kelly. Kelly knows the guys on the team. He's calling Peyton and all of them. "Where's my brother?" And as I'm doing that, I'm hanging up. I said, "Coach, we'll find him, whatever we have to do. We got to find him." Click, and Kym says, "You got to go. You got to go up there." Tyler's awesome. He was a horrible driver. Bumper cars in the ice, and it wasn't really my fault. I heard that a bunch. So I thought, well, maybe he ran out of gas, and his phone ran out of battery, and it's funny how your mind just wants to steer you away from anything else. And so she was right. I had to go. What if he's really in a ditch and no one knows where, right? Who's going to look for him harder than me? But I didn't want to go. I get in a plane for 3 hours and not know what was going on with Tyler. But I went and I took off, called my brother. "Hey, I need a ticket. I got to get to Pullman quick. Tyler's missing." "Oh, Bob, Tyler? Nah, Tyler's okay. He'll be fine, right? Still upset, but so I go through security, right? Get to the other side of security, and my phone beeps. It's the first time I heard it, at least, and it was my son, Kelly. And all it said was Dad, the message. And I knew, you guys, I knew right then that Tyler was gone. I didn't know he died by suicide. I sort of fell to my knees, unhappy. I get up. Because you see, if Kelly had found him okay, I would have gotten a phone call, first of all, and it would have been, oh, okay, I got him. I know all his hiding spots. I know what he's doing. I talked to, it'd be that. Not picking on Kelly. I wish he had said that. But I knew. And as I turned around to leave, my phone started blowing up, and ESPN had figured it out and told everybody. So I called Kim, called my wife. I said I was sorry. Don't know what happened. And she says, well, that's all right. You know Kelly. What? You know Kelly. He gets stuff wrong. And guys, like a fraction of a second, oh, wait a minute. She's right. Kelly is like that. Maybe this isn't the end of the world. And as I hang up, my phone continues to buzz, and it's Ryan, my youngest. He's at practice. They told him, and they got him home safely, and he was texting me, Dad, please come home. Please, please, please come home. Kim couldn't breathe. He doesn't know to call 911. We get her bags to breathe into. Ambulance arrives, We get her okay, stable, and take the hospital. By this time, family and friends are showing up at the hospital, at the house. Doing what? Sorry, right? She goes, okay. She was in denial. Get her home. Stayed up all night, waited for the first flight out. We get up to Pullman. And a number of things happen. You got to take care of things. You got to see Tyler for one last time. You got to sign paperwork. And we did all that. And we couldn't figure out, at that point, you lose your mind a little bit, temporarily at least. And we kept asking, what happened? What in the world happened, right? So we're asking everybody. And when we got up there, all we could think about was finding his phone. Who was he talking to? Who was he texting with? We talked to his friends, his girlfriend. They all said the same thing. He was great. I heard him playing video games at midnight the night before. What happened? So we looked everywhere for this phone, right? It's up there. Checked the creek, the trash. Found his iPad. That had football on it. His laptop had schoolwork on it. But we couldn't find his phone. We ended up leaving, got home maybe 3-4 months later. The chief of police of Pullman called Kim and said, Miss Hilinski, we found Tyler's phone. Actually, the people that moved in his apartment found it. And he had dropped it, the only one I can tell this to. He dropped it in the hallway, in the heaters that run along, like little radiant heater, long toaster looking things? He just dropped it in there. So we get it back. We know passwords, brothers knew, girlfriend knew. We tried them all. Apple phone, 3 or 4, none of them worked. Oh boy, it times you out, right? If you do it 10 times, it wrecks the data. Much longer story. We found a company that doesn't work with the general public. Their clients are the Mossad and the FBI at that time, and now local law enforcement, called Celebrate. They were just gracious enough to try to help. We sent them the phone. And their IP is that they trick the phone into thinking each time is the first time, so it doesn't screw up the data. They stick it on a server, they let it run for 2 weeks. We get a call, hey, we got it. All the data's there. We're putting it all on a big 2 terabyte drive. You can click on every snapshot you think is deleted, and all the words we had given him, suicide, depression, anxiety, any of that list, we got that back. But we also got his phone. So I could look at it like he was looking at it, you know. And when I first saw it, has a little Coug card, you know, in the back, and driver's license and stuff. But on the front of it, it had this little yellow sticky note. You know, Post-it notes, right? The little ones. Right on the front, it said PW : 6 numbers. Password, right? So I can enter the password and look on his phone. But here's the thing. Those numbers made no sense to me. I know, again, it sounds stupid. I love Tyler. He wouldn't have remembered those 6. His favorite password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 3s. That's it. These weren't that. And you know, it just, part of this is for you guys. It's that thing that's off or different that tells you stuff. And that was off for us. There's no way it made sense. And we had to let it go. We had the phone. We're in that for 18 hours straight, looking up all the things we could possibly look up. And about 2 weeks later, I get this call. I'm on the road for work. And Kim and my sister are on the phone, and they're just crying as hard as they, saying the same thing. We figured it out, we figured it out, we figured it out. And what they were talking about is the only English language word that works for those numbers is the word sorry. I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. In the metadata, he had changed the password 3 days before he died. So he did it intentionally, right? I don't know if he meant to say sorry. I don't know if he was telling himself sorry. You guys are smart. That's 5 letters. He added another 9, his high school number, or Y at the end. But why bother you with this at all? It's this. Here's a kid at 18, 17, not afraid of anything, fearless. When I asked him, when we went home that night after we picked him up from the party, I reminded him he had a game the next day. I said, those same clowns are going to be following you around. Hey, you got to call your mom to get you out of, you know. And I'll never forget that look. Just looked at me like I had 3 heads. I love my mom. And he convinced me. You know, he was so good at that. I love my mom. There's nothing those guys are going to say. Proud of him. Great, you know, pat on the back. But as his dad, I had to warn him, you know, he's probably going back into the hornet's nest. He could do that at 17. And at 21, the most important decision he's going to make, he doesn't call anybody. Not his parents, not CJ, girlfriend, brothers. Kelly called him half an hour before he died. I'm in class, can I call you back? It's not the point of the story, it's to make you sad. The point is, at any number of these different places and many, many more, there's a chance for Tyler to say one thing, and that is, I'm struggling. I need help. Got parents in here on a Sunday to play 100 innings of baseball, or be here for you, or cook the food, or make donations, or drive the cars. I promise you, I don't have to meet him. You tell him that, Kim would ask you, you don't know how to say, I'm struggling? Say, remember that story about that kid, quarterback up here that died by suicide? Oh, yeah. If you're parents and you hear that, don't say, oh, yeah. That's the last chance you might get. Yeah, I remember that. Why are you asking me? I feel the same way he might have. That's the beginning. That's the beginning. There's a bunch of stuff I'm going to skip. Kim likes to end these things with a video of, it's almost like a highlight reel, but it's him smiling and playing football. And the reason we want you to see that many of the things you'll see, and you've already seen, 2 weeks before he died. Sometimes people go down a really bad cliff and they fumble and stumble and fall and get cut up, and it's very obvious that they're struggling. Some don't. Some look just like he looked 2 weeks before. A little sad that they lost. Suicidal? 0 chance. I have to live with that. You guys do not. So I'm going to play that last one. I'm going to hang out here, and if there's anything you guys want to share or talk about or ask questions about, I'm happy to talk. I'm not a counselor, you guys know that. I'm happy to share more of the story. I'm happy to listen to yours. I'm super grateful to be here at all. It's a testament to the community and Darren's organizational skills that you can do something like this. And if there's one Tyler in here or in the community that we can reach, it's all worth it.
I'm gonna need you to raise your glass. I don't care what you put in it. Here's the nights that you can't take back. We live hard, but we love to laugh. We all thought that we'd get rich fast. Hop the plane out for greener grass. Found out the green is cash. Don't compare to the friends that last. See, we won't forget where we came from. This city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we won't forget where we came from. This city can't change us. We beat to the same drum, the same drum. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. So here's to the cheap sunglasses, Red Bull and minivans, and people who had your back when the world didn't understand. See, we won't forget where we came from. The city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we won't forget where we came from. The city can't change us. We beat to the same drum, the same drum. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. When time's losing and we're losing touch and fading away, we'll still be raising.
Touchdown wins it. Snap back to Hilinski. Drops back. Has time. Passes left. Caught, made it. The catchment to the 20-yard line. More to the 10. Runs for the win. Dives for the pylon. Touchdown, Washington State. He's celebrating like it was over the goal line. It's a comeback for the ages. An all-time Cougar win. Down 21 in the fourth quarter. Washington State.
Oh no, the city won't change us. Oh no, the city won't change us. Won't change us. Hey! La, da, 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 oh. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. We always find a way back home. Yeah, we always find a way back home.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. You know, the one thing I would share with you that Kym usually says when we do these talks is, despite all the videos and the talk about football and sports, you're just bigger than your sport. right? I don't care how good you are, the greatest lefty in Pacific Northwest, I'm sure. But you're more than that, right? You're more than a win or a loss. You're certainly more than your sport itself. You need help, ask for it. If your teammates need help, help them get it. Choose your words carefully. Continue to love and support your community like you've been shown today. And we'd be grateful if you continue to support Hilinski's Hope. We're out here looking out for your kids. Anything we can do to make that better, please just let us know. Kim and I answer the emails and the texts that go to hilinskishope.org. Personally, it sometimes takes us a while. But if there's anything else we could ever do, please let us know. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we wish you all the best. We'll be pulling for you. Thank you.